are listening to the Life, Hope, and Leadership podcast with Nick Shabrinsky, a transparent, honest, and encouraging podcast to equip you through real-life experiences.
What's up, guys? Thank you so much for making Life, Hope, and Leadership podcast a part of your life, and I hope a part of your hope, and I hope a part of your leadership. I'm just super stoked, man. I've been following some of the analytics and just trying to see how I can continue to expand my reach with my efforts. And man, we are almost at 2,000 listens, so a massive yay and thank you and woohoo to all of y'all that make it possible. Over 100 Spotify subscribers. I literally just go up to people sometimes and be like, hey, do you like podcasts? Will you listen to my podcast? And so if you're enjoying these and you're finding them valuable to your future, your who you are, your character development, whatever, or just encouraging, or I mean, maybe you hate all of it, you just laugh at me. Hey, a good laugh is good. Would you just share this with a few people? And if you are wanting to engage, you can actually leave comments on the Spotify app through my podcast page. And so you may not know that. And there are some people that have been actually supporting, and which is just so cool. I didn't even know that was a thing whenever I started the podcast. So people clicking on support the podcast on the Spotify page, man, you guys are, you guys just encourage my socks off. So yeah, anyway, just trying to catch you up on my life. I just had a awesome few days with, about 250 plus men from multiple churches. It was awesome. And we had a men's retreat with some incredible mentors and, just great world changing men of God that spoke into us. And man, it just really stirred the pot of what God has put inside of each and every single one of us. And so I wanted to record a podcast while I was there, but I did not have any of the right equipment, and I didn't feel like recording on my phone. So I'm going to give you a couple thoughts that were on my mind over that week, and I hope that this will spur you to some next steps. I hope this will spur you to get up and get moving. It kind of comes off of the red light therapy, but a little bit of a next step for practical on that. And so we will call this episode in the waiting of the red light. And so here it is. It's basically an acronym. And I was thinking a lot about when I was growing up. When I became a Christian, I kind of had this eye-opening revelation of how important it is to make the most out of every day. And the Bible actually says that. And like I said many times before, you may not be a Christian while you're listening to this, and I just want to encourage you to lean in. I promise you, I understand what it's like to be a Christian, and I understand what it's like not to be. So this is not hey, if we don't agree on theology, we can't agree on thought. So welcome to my podcast, and I hope that you'll lean in and just give the content some opportunities to kind of make its way into your heart. And if you like it, follow, subscribe. If you don't, follow and subscribe anyway. Just ignore me. But basically, when I got this urgency when I became a Christian, and I think that it's easy to lose a sense of urgency to your day. It's so easy to get kind of caught up into the mundane of like, this is what I do. This is how I get up. I pour my coffee the same way every day. Go to the bathroom, same time every morning. There's nothing wrong with routines. I go sit outside. I stare at the wall. I do this. I go to sleep at this time. I wake up at this time. Routines are great, but you have to be careful that your routine doesn't make you swallow the pill of mediocrity. Routines are phenomenal because they actually allow you, once your routine is in place, it's kind of like a budget of your life. Now you know how you can cut stuff or how you can add stuff, where you can move stuff, how you can shift stuff. A lot of people are very whimsical. I'm more of a whimsical person. And so I'm kind of like, hey, fly by the seat of my pants a little bit. And because of that, there's not always necessarily a budget of time. And the demand of my life is a little bit different on how I can get pulled at different directions at different times. But all that being said, all that is another problem for people who are very busy or whimsical or kind of pulled around. that you can lose the urgency and the reality of your moments. And so I want you to catch this when you're in the red light, when you're waiting in the red light, when you're in the process, when you're in transition. And realistically, this is not even really a red light therapy kind of thought. It really is just a life thought. But the acronym is I want you to use yourself. I want you to U.S.E. I want you to use yourself. I want you to realize that if you're not using who you are, if you're not applying who you are, if you're not uncovering, discovering, and recovering some of the things of who you are, you're wasting who you are. And if you're wasting who you are, you're literally causing more damage than you realize. The best you is the best version of somebody else is often waiting for the best version of you to show up. And let me repeat that. The best version that somebody else is called to be, the best version that they are meant to be and discover, is often waiting for the best you to arrive into their life. You don't realize this, but more people are following your life, your character. They're following your steps. They're following your lead more than you realize. And that was a big point of the men's retreat. And it is a big thing with men's ministry, is realizing that sons and daughters, wives, family, they're following, they're looking at you. They're emulating what they're seeing. I have been in youth ministry and I've been a senior pastor for now 9 or 10 years. I've been in youth ministry for over a decade. I've been in ministry for decades. And one of the things that always hurts my heart is when I would have parents, and I still have this, parents will call me and they'll be like, you need to fix my kid. And I'm thinking, dude, your kids are just emulating you. So if you're not liking what you're seeing in your kids, oftentimes what you're really saying is you're not liking what they're seeing in you. And the reality to that is if you would get up and operate in your fullness, your kids might act a little less foolish. And so in this acronym, the first thought, the first kind of catalyst to this is you're using your talents, you're using your gifts, you're using your character, you're using yourself. Maximize the use of who you are. I want you to catch that, write that down, tattoo it on your forehead, put it somewhere, put it on your mirror, and read it every day. Maximize, use who you are, get to work. When I was a teenager and I started to develop this urgency of realizing, man, I had been wasting my years. I had been doing some terrible things. I had been wasting and almost took my own life. I was getting to this place where I was just devastated in my own self and the destruction of what I had grown up in. 3 dads by the time I was 12, experiencing abuse in multiple ways. I just kind of was hopeless. And when I found Christ, I was so filled with hope that I was like, dude, whoever I am, whatever I got to give this thing away. And so the first part of the acronym is use. And I might even name the podcast something along that lines. But number 1 is use what you got. And I want you to catch that. There's a story in the Bible where Jesus is kicking it with his homies, and he's teaching, and he's on the mount, and there's beautiful kind of evening happening. People followed him up a mountain. They wanted to hear him teach. He sits them all down. There's thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people. And before he's done, he realizes, man, it's getting dark, and these folks got to go home, and they haven't eaten all day. And so he looks at all his homies. He's like, hey guys, we got to feed these cats. And they're like, dude, there ain't no Papa John's anywhere. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I don't see no Chick-fil-A. I don't see no, I don't see no McDonald's. We can't get them fries. Like, what are you talking about? How are we going to feed this many people? It's not like we brought the banquet hall with us. And Jesus says, well, what do you got? What do you got? And this is an age-old story, but I want you to really catch this. This isn't just in the miraculous seasons. This is the everyday. What do you got? And one of the disciples goes, he sees some little kid over in the corner, and dude's chilling with his fish sticks and French fries that his mama got from Long John Silver's on the way up the mountain. Now, obviously, I'm having fun, but they grab that and they're like, hey, little man, like, are you cool if we give this to Jesus? And I'm sure the mom was like, hey, get off my kid's lunchbox, but somewhere in the conversation, there was a surrendering of what that child had. They brought that to Jesus, and Jesus prayed over it. He blessed it. He broke it. And then he gave it to the disciples to pass out. And the Bible says that they fed everybody. Everybody was full. and there was 12 baskets of food remaining. And what's so beautiful and significant about this story is it's often easy to look in the mirror and say, what I have isn't enough to do what I want. But Jesus often looks at us and says, no, what you have in your hands, what you have in your heart, what you have right now, the only way it's ever going to become bigger is if you use it. You got to put it in my hands. And so I realized that as a teenager, I was like, dude, like I would go to these youth camps and I would go to youth group. I'd go to church. And, you know, like honestly, in my church, I'm going to date myself for any of you younger cats that are listening. But when I was a kid, we had an overhead projector for the lyrics at church. And I'm talking when I was 15, 16. Now, obviously, now we got like screens and LED walls and stuff, but you would have to flip the transparency paper and you would put it on the overhead projector. And I just wanted to serve at church. I wasn't going to go to church and eat and not set the table. And so one of the things I got to do was I got to just stand up there I felt stupid as crap, dude. I'm sitting up there, everybody's singing and playing instruments, and I'm up there holding a transparency piece of paper on an overhead projector, waiting to flip it for the next song. And I would lift my hands and sing the song until the words came out, and then I'd have to take the next slide and put it up. And I felt so dumb, but it was something I could do. It was something I could use in myself. It was something I was capable of doing, and it was a need that needed met. And the more that you step in and use what you have, you're going to realize that not only does what you have grow, but people also can begin to look to you and trust you to be usable. And sometimes when you're usable, you're going to feel used. And sometimes when you're usable, you're going to feel like you're growing. But both are beneficial. So use what you got. And here's what I mean by that. Don't hate the waiting season. Don't hate the growing seasons. Don't sit here like with my podcast, man. Like, yeah, dude, I started my I didn't know if anybody was going to listen. And now I got over 100 people that are subscribed. That means the world to me. One day, maybe that's going to be 1,000. Maybe one day it'll be 1,000,000. And you know how cool it'll be to know, wow, something that's in me, an experience, a pain, a struggle, something I overcame, something that almost overcame me. Times I felt defeated, times I got victories, my lessons of my life, that I could pour those into your heart. And trust me, you think that you're the only person who ever looks in the mirror and feels insignificant or feels like it doesn't matter. But the proof in the pudding is this. If you're listening to me and finding value, I look in the mirror and struggle with those same thoughts. But my encouragement to you right now is to use what you got. Man, you got someone at work who just needs a friend. My wife and I just met with a couple yesterday, talking, encouraging them through their marriage and just saying, look, you guys are both saying the same things. You're just doing it in different languages. So use the tools you have to learn how to translate each other's differences and to lean in. There's a quote I read from, he was a Islamic poet, and I think his name was Rumi. He said, "You are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop." Now, I don't want you to get too egotistical. The Bible says that a man or woman should not think themselves, higher than they are. But I do want you to realize that when God created you, he created you with so much beauty and uniqueness and difference. And the worst thing you can do is think you're just a drop in the ocean, when really everything in you is so beautiful that you are an entire ocean in one little drop and one little human being on the earth. And when you open up your life and you share your stories and you use your gifts and you use your talents and you love on somebody, and maybe you go to a trade school, maybe you go to university, maybe you go through an internship, maybe you're volunteering somewhere, maybe you just get up and you start being the difference in your school or at your job or in your home. All of a sudden, the beauty of who you are becomes a part of where you are, and you make it better. It'll never get better until you become a part of making it better. God forbid it get better without you. God forbid you look back and go, wow, it got better and I had nothing to do with that. What a waste of life. And you're not called to be a waste of life. So the second part is, number one, you're using what you got. Secondly, you're strengthening what you got. And so part of using what you got is it puts you into this place where you realize, what I have is a little limited. And so as I started volunteering in different capacities, as I started studying different things, as I started becoming, the more I was used, I became more passionate about what I saw. And so when I became passionate what I saw, I realized I have to strengthen what I have. I have to strengthen what I do. I have to strengthen what I know. I have to equip myself better. I have to train myself better. I have to learn more. And I saw all of a sudden I started getting excited about reading, and I started getting excited about mentorship and listening to people and getting into environments where I could strengthen what I had. I could strengthen what I got. And so you want to prepare in the wait. Don't just sit around, man. And that's part of that red light therapy. That's kind of where these two come hand in hand. But this is some application principles to that. The greatest time to screw up is when you're not on stage. Too many people want to strengthen themselves when it's time for the call. Man, when the fire alarm goes off, that's not the time to go to fire school. When the guns start shooting, that's not the time to go to police academy. No, you want to do the gun training. You want to do the fire training. You want to do the EMT training. You want to learn how to do surgery before the heart goes out. You want to master these things before. And one of my mentors always told me, God doesn't promote you to your next until you're overqualified in your present. And while I wish that was always true, I believe that there's a lot of truth to that. That when you start going, you know what, I'm going to learn more than I ever needed to know right here, right now. I'm going to develop my character more than I've ever needed to right now. I'm going to forgive everybody right now. They haven't even asked for forgiveness, but I'm going to release that. Man, I'm going to train my voice even when I'm not on stage. Man, I'm going to learn my art craft even before people are buying my art. I think it was Da Vinci or something like that. One of these guys, man, they didn't sell any artwork until they were dead and gone. So imagine if they'd been like, well, I'll wait till I'm a viral sensation before I get better. Get better now. Strengthen what you got now. Come on, wherever you are, I just need to say, I'm going to do it right now. And no, seriously, I need you to say, I'm going to do it right now. You need to get excited and passionate about the journey and strengthen what you got. Thirdly, and this is the last part of this podcast, but I want you to equip others with what you got. So you're using what you got, you're strengthening what you got, and you're going to equip others with what you got. Now, this is one of those hard places because all of a sudden, if you get into this niche or you're like this baller status and you go, oh my God, but if I teach others to do what I do, I might not be so famous. I might not be so popular. Let me tell you, while it's great to be unique and while it's great to be the ocean in a drop, there's something significant. There's something beautiful about helping others become what they were meant to be. And here's a quote from Steven Spielberg. I love this quote. He said, the delicate balance of mentoring somebody is not creating them in your own image, but giving them the opportunity to create themselves. I don't need to create anybody in my image. I don't need to get anybody to be more like me. God made me in his image. God made you in his image. So realistically, we're just trying to become the best version of us that God created us to be. And when we start equipping others with what we know and what we got, we take them by the hand. We show them how we got there. We give them the same time that other people gave you to help you get where you got. Oh, well, what if you might be listening and saying, well, nobody helped me get there. Exactly. So that's the other side of it. If no one helped you get there, then help somebody else get there because you know how bad that sucked. That when you could have used a hand up, when you could have used, someone helping you take that next step, when you could have used that extra, cash or that extra mentorship or that extra, or just an invitation into the right room. And so God forbid, man, that you know the pain of not getting a hand up and then not helping others up. And God forbid that someone helped you get where you are. Someone helped strengthen you. Someone helped give you opportunities and you don't do the same. Be careful. Be careful that you don't start coveting your opportunities and your gifts and your talents. Man, I love the story in the Bible where the Bible says the master gave each person their own talents to do something with. And when he came back to check in on them, one of them multiplied it tenfold. One multiplied it 3. But another guy, he buried it. And the master says, dude, what happened to what did you do with what I gave you? He said, oh, I buried it. I don't want to lose it. I didn't want to mess with it. And I heard that you were a dangerous, a mean guy. And man, I was afraid to mess it up. And so he says, fine, if that's how you see me and that's how you're wicked. You're a lazy servant. Man, you did nothing with what I gave you. Man, are you kidding me? So friends, I just want to encourage you, man. I don't know what I'll call this podcast. Sorry, I keep talking about that, but it'll be titled. It'll be up there. And whatever it is, who cares about the title? I care about you. I care about your content. The content in this is to help help get the content out of you. So I don't know what it is for you. I don't know where you are. You can leave a comment on the podcast. Let me know where you're watching from. Let me know what you're doing. How can I help you? What can I say? What can I do to help you to, just kill it, to be used to your max? That's what we're going to call it. Use it to the max. Use it to the max. And that's my hope for you. So do me a favor, help me use this to the max. Would you send it to 3, 4, 5, 10 people? Share it on your social media feeds. Text it to a few people. And if you're loving them, if they're helping you, then do me a favor. And would you help me maximize what I'm doing so we can change the world together? Thank you to everybody who's helping support. Man, you guys are the real ones. Awesome. Just so cool. And thank you to everybody, all my listeners, all my subscribers. You guys have encouraged my heart more than you will ever know. Also, feel free to follow me on Instagram, Facebook, all those platforms, TikTok. I got some videos and short reels and stuff that may help you. Anyway, that being said, I love you guys. I appreciate you. I pray blessings over every single person listening. I pray that the love of God would be revealed to you like you never imagined. And I pray that you become that person who really, truly, beyond it all shadow of a doubt, becomes used to your max. Have a great day and change your world this week.
You are listening to the Life, Hope, and Leadership Podcast with Nick Shabrinsky, a transparent, honest, and encouraging podcast to equip you through real life experiences.